You know, if you ask a dozen atheists what makes religious people believe in God, the word comfort is bound to crop up an awful lot. And maybe I've even offered comfort as an explanation to why people believe in God in the past. I'm not sure if I have, but I'm just covering my ass. If I have, then it's almost certainly something I didn't think about. It was probably just an atheist party line that I was parroting. I don't buy that explanation. Maybe I'm just missing something. But to me, the idea of God doesn't sound all that comforting. In fact, it sounds rather horrible. My wife died of cancer and my dog got hit by a Buick. It is just a crazy, fucked up, random world we live in, isn't it? Actually, no, it's not random. It's all part of the plan of a patriarchal wizard who lives in the sky and controls everything. Wait, so when my wife died? That was all part of his plan. And when my dog got hit by a Buick? All part of his plan. That sounds terrible. Oh, pish posh. I personally feel comforted by the fact that all of my suffering comes from an invisible man living in a magical sky kingdom. Uh-huh. Oh, you shot me. Oh, it was part of God's plan. So my question to you guys is, am I just looking at it the wrong way? Where does this comfort come in? I don't see how it can be comforting, because I mean, what, you're sitting there jerking off, and all of a sudden you think, God's watching, and you're like, oh, I better not do this. I mean, like, you're sitting there in the shower, washing up your ass, getting the soap up in there and shit, and then you start to think of God sitting up there in heaven watching you, just like, damn, look at that ass. How is this comforting? I don't get it. Help me out, folks.
So I believe what could be the problem, or part of the problem here, is if you're trying to apply the notion of God's comfort to encompass everything, it's that everything part that is the problem. And so instead, take God's comfort and use it or apply it to be an alleviation of just one aspect or just a few. And also that it's a package deal of a sort, and it's, strings attached. So to get that comfort, they have to take the whole package. And I did think of an example that will hopefully bring sense to this. This comes from the uncut interviews in Roots of All Evil. And unfortunately, it's been a while since I've actually listened to it, and I can't find it. So while I believe that I'm not misrepresenting what was said, I'm going to probably have to go find it so I don't go insane wondering. And in it, there is a discussion between Richard Dawkins and a Christian. Then Hitler and justice comes up. The Christian says something to the effect of that he has to believe there's a God and that Hitler is being punished for his crimes. That for him to accept that death is the end, that a human could do horrendous things and escape justice is just utterly intolerable. Furthermore, that people who are, caring, kind, whatever, and the people on the other side who would, I guess you could call them like the people who are bringing destruction, suffering, and so on, that for both of them to reach that same end of non-existence, it makes everything meaningless. So if you look at the God's comfort here is appeasing his need for justice, in that his belief allows him to cope by the fantasy of some type of inescapable atonement, or however you want to put it. Now, you'll see that it's addressing only a very small portion, and that's all it's needed. Also, I should say, generally speaking, for that comfort to give him a fix or activate, the whole package has to be taken. The whole package here is Christianity, and of course believing in that God. I do need to actually mention that when I say whole package, obviously I'm not referring to actually following everything in the Bible, just because it's not really possible and they wouldn't anyways. They only need to do enough to convince themselves that they are Christian. This would then allow them to get that comfort, or I should say it would allow them to trigger that fix that lets them cope, or however you want to put it. We see this in many people. And how many times have you heard someone say that life is meaningless without God? In other words, they're deceiving themselves so they can believe a fantasy which makes them happy, in a manner of speaking. Then you can apply so many other things. If you look at their, the sayings that are out there, one that comes to mind is, God works in mysterious ways. Or I guess another would be where they say that we simply are incapable of understanding whatever, like whatever's happening. All these things, they all allow them to further reinforce their delusion. At least that's my opinion. And of course, if they don't do all this, they'll see how ridiculous their beliefs are. And this doesn't say that they will stop believing or anything. I'm just saying that it makes it easier for them. Okay, so I guess I'll just real quick. I'll try to make this quick. I'll use another example to maybe bring a little more clarity to the idea of having to take the whole package to get the comfort for just one or two things, one or two desires, whatever. So take the people who abuse methamphetamine. What is the motivation for abusing meth? Or generally, that is. I would, I guess, there might be different ways to put this, but I would say that it makes you feel very good, and it's an escape from reality. So there are two comforts, and to use it as a constant escape, the whole package deal, strings attached, comes into play. And here, I guess you could say the package deal is roughly described as physical addiction, psychological addiction, brain damage, alienating everyone, stealing, basically committing crimes to support the habit. And let's see. So I hope that helps a little to make sense of everything. One last thing before I go, and I'll use God and religion here. When you listen to people, sometimes you can hear the fundamental or the keys to why they want to, or why they try to believe. And if you hear something like, "There's no meaning to life if there's no God," nothing else matters at the point. That's it. And there's nothing else that you need to know. They are basically saying, I'm going to believe whatever the fuck I need to believe there's a God. And it's simple as that, in my opinion. Okay, I guess that's it. I'm tired.